Sorry about that. Karen, see if you can speak through your connection so we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, we can hear you. Yay, it's working.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
Oh my goodness, look at us. We're so fancy. We can hear.
Thank you so much for testing it.
Legitimate now.
Yes.
Well, we figured out what was wrong with the connection on the last episode, but we're all set now. So we are going to start the show here and get on with it. So tonight, welcome back to another episode of Tango Talks. This is our second season, which we're excited about, and our second episode. And tonight we have with us Kyle. Now, I don't know which way I'm supposed to represent you, Kyle, because there's two names for you, but I'll just say the one that's on the site of Asperger is the creator of anarchyforaday.com, where he redefines anarchy as a tactical differentiation. Oh my goodness, it's got big words on there. And teaching leaders how to rethink rules and apply them to other organizations and carve out their own blue oceans, which I think we all would like to have. With nearly a decade of agency experience and coaching style that's blunt, funny, which is probably why we invited him, and practical, ideal for your curious listeners and learned leaders. Welcome, Kyle. It's a pleasure to have you here tonight. Oh, there you are.
Look at that. It is a Christmas miracle.
We had the same problem last week. We had our first pod match guest, and he was like, I can barely hear you guys. So we had to disconnect the pod equipment and we talked directly through the computer. And I was like, are you there, Noah? And he yells back. He's like, you just scared the shit out of me.
Well, I heard the intro. Thank you for that. I was here for all of it.
Okay.
And I was screaming. Oh God, no, it was awful.
No.
Honored to be here with you both. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes, it's actually a very. I was looking through. We've got some of your information up here in front of you. I was actually looking at your website earlier here, and I think what caught my attention was the whole anarchy thing, because I'm kind of like my own chaos producer at work. And every once in a while, I think it's fun. And, it gets people, back up on their toes again.
It is. It's like, how do you make life unboring? Bring a little bit of anarchy into this situation. I'm not saying what. It's completely circumstantial, but I don't know, do something different, please.
Yes, absolutely. Sometimes, like I run my full-time job is running a print shop. We do signs and T-shirts and stuff like that. And it's just the same thing over and over and over again. So every once in a while, it's just fun to just like do something, twist up the equipment or do something to make everybody, like, what's going on?
I like where your head's at.
And then I sit back and just kind of like, wait for a little bit. And it's like, oh, I'll come over and fix your computer. Hold on. And then I'm like the miracle worker for the day.
Well, as long as you're like, anarchy really only works as long as you do deliver in the long run. That is, I think, the key undertone there.
Yes. So tell us a little bit about this whole anarchy for a day.
Well, there's a number of different ways that I can go about this. Where would you like to begin?
Yeah, so you got several different course sections here. Well, what made you think of it? So I know you were in the industry for a while, digital marketing, and you got a degree in graphic design.
One of the most useless degrees out there, yes.
It's funny you say that, because I've got a degree in graphic design also, but luckily I ended up being in the graphic industry. So
marketing is very largely graphics. I mean, graphics is, you're communicating ideas and whatnot, and it's part of it.
Well, especially digital stuff.
Yeah. All right. So how did I spool everything up, and how did I land on anarchy for a day?
Hey, everybody. We hope you are enjoying the show today. And just a little friendly reminder that, we really depend on your subscribes, your follows, and your likes. That's how we get up moved up in the ranks a little bit. We're doing pretty good. We've done 30 shows and we've got 1,100 downloads. But every subscribe helps. Our subscriptions are free right now. I say that right now. We'll see what happens in the future. But please, click those subscribe buttons and follow buttons and share us to all your friends and family as much as you can. We really would appreciate it. And if you really want to be a supporter of the show, you can go to patreon.com/Tango Talks 66. And we have different prize levels there and subscription levels there. And that would really help us out and help pay for some of this equipment we keep buying. And, we'll see how this goes on. But back to the show. Thank you. There you go.
We'll start with that and then go wherever the wind takes us. Yeah, all right. So this is right around like Thanksgiving 2024. And I sort of reached this point, having had a marketing agency for around a decade. I'm like, okay, if we are going after RFPs, which is one way of doing the agency thing, that wasn't our sole tactic, but if an AI company is essentially submitting a proposal for the same exact, RFP, they're going to come in at such a low price that myself, my partners, we can't play in the same arena anymore. Because one of the issues being, there's good and bad iterations of just about every walk of life, but I speak only really about marketing, just because it's simply what I know. But from empirical knowledge and experience, there's a tremendous bit of distrust that businesses, whether whole entities or singular individuals, just have a lot of distrust when it comes to marketers. Which is to say, okay, a lot of marketers are fantastic salespeople because they walk into frame and they say, well, boy, do I have the solution of your life. It is exactly what you need, and I'm going to give it to you.
I've been there.
Yeah.
I've had many marketers from different, whether it be print or radio or digital. I've had them all walk through the door.
That's it. And, it's something that unfortunately more people than you would imagine can relate to. And so inevitably, I'm not saying that this is gospel across the in the industry, there are good marketers out there, but many fail to deliver on whatever it is that they promised. And what that does is that fosters a more or less a copy and paste of just distrust or even hatred. I wasted hundreds, if not thousands of dollars, going through this marketer, and they didn't give me anything. Or whatever I perceived as being what I needed.
We have a big issue with radio marketing because they always want to do trade with us because we can do the t-shirts and signs for them, whatever. But the problem is we give them exactly what they want. They want a 4-color design and they want it on the sleeves and the front and the back. But then when we want to place our ads where we want, they're like, oh, no, it doesn't work that way. It's like, what? Wait a minute here. You're getting what you want, but I can't get what I want? That doesn't really work well for me.
This is not a bilateral trade here. It's just, I don't know. So there's distrust. And because there's distrust, all these folks, all these business owners who are trying to figure out how to do business the most equitable way possible. All right, well, if marketing's failed me, I'm not going to invest in the expensive team that's keeping their team stateside. If there are technologies that are coming in frame that can way undercut and make certain processes much more efficient, then I should essentially just do that. Save time, save money. It's seemingly a no-brainer.
Right.
So those were huge components that led me to just saying, you know what, this marketing agency model is no longer the right solution for today's marketplace. So then in lies a period of maybe 6 months or so where I was looking for a job, full-time job, like creative director, marketing director, something like that. And I am just so chronically unemployable that I needed to hire a coach for myself because nothing was sticking. I could not find a single position. And so in the very first conversation I have with this coach, she says, look, I know that we have to focus on your resume, but hear me out. I see a lot of the what I know of me in the way that you talk, in the way that you operate, you could make a good coach. And I said, well, gee, thanks, coach. I can't start another business right now. That's the whole point of you being here. And then conveniently, the Colorado Nonprofit Association, they reach out that same week, and they invited me and a colleague to build out a single-day in-person boot camp for all of their nonprofit members, where we spoke about marketing and, on my colleague's behalf, and fundraising. So, okay, within a week's time, I have a seed plant of, well, dude, go coach. And then I'm building out course material. And so this sort of happenstance, this convenient happenstance, I'm having to kind of rethink the way that I've completely previously approached this entire body of knowledge that I have. It's like, what if I do just become this educator? What if I teach, coach, do all that? And that complete re-engineering, how do I make this knowledge attainable for the makers, the business owners, the entrepreneurs, whoever is needing this stuff? And that process, that re-engineering, that rethinking of, okay, well, I was doing this, and what I was previously doing is what I was looking at other people, and they were doing it well, and it was working for them, and I was perhaps stupidly going off the assumption it should work for me. And that was a significant problem. So I figured, all right, this retooling, if we essentially turn this entire knowledge base into a course, that process is anarchy in itself. It was a completely anarchical, which I don't even believe is a word, but I like it, so whatever.
So we're going to keep it.
Yeah, so I win, nana poo-poo. That was the first moment that, a bit of anarchy struck for me, and I realized the truest power of it is just to say, all right, well, how is it that we shift this stigma where, so many business owners have severe distrust? Well, they wouldn't distrust if they came in from an educated standpoint. If they knew how to diagnose, all right, well, generally speaking, I may not be the expert, but at least I know that based on my product, my service, and the entire market that I'm trying to talk to, I know that you shiny little salesperson, I know you're not right for me, but I'll hear you out. If business owners can do that, that would save them so much money. So that's the hope is, educate, build this utopic marketplace of educated buyers so that they don't end up falling down a pitfall.
Right. So basically teaching business owners, how to cut out that, as you said, that shiny little marketing person out and with themselves.
I did say salesperson. Very key distinction there. But in essence, that's it. Just be able to see your own path and know generally which direction is going to take you which where.
Cool. I like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been trying to do that for years, and it's just it's so hard as it is just to run a business, and then you want to hope that when you're spending money, like we talked in the beginning, with all these companies, that they're going to do right by you, and then you find out it's like, I just spent $1,000 last month on a radio thing, and I ended up being on the radio at 3:00 in the morning. Who's listening to me at 3:00 in the morning?
Only the people that you really want to hear you.
No, not really.
Yeah. But
that's a tough one. That is.
Yeah, I think that's just it, though. I mean, it's almost like you kind of learn the things that work and don't work, from what you started with, because at one point it was always, all of your advertising budget was going towards, radio, or it was going towards, print,
right.
Like newspapers and that kind of thing. Now we're like so.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. What were you saying, Kyle?
Or TV. It was kind of
TV.
Oh yeah.
And then all of a sudden now I feel like we're in a totally different just a totally different way of thinking, even, like we're not just stuck on those few handful of media.
Well, no, because now you got to think about,
everything.
delivery on your phone and mobile devices and, watches even and everything else. It would be, so it would be awesome if there was like your course that, people could take and get the runabout way of, navigating this way of,
thinking,
promoting your thinking and promoting your business.
Yeah. Well, it is an ever changing world that we're in. So that doesn't make any of the marketing easy. It's changing a mile a minute. Like on a different podcast, somebody was like, the host asked, what's one of your favorite like marketing tactics? And I was like, I got such a horrible answer here. There is no real answer because the industry is changing as fast as it is. It depends on the product, the service, who you're talking to. So
that's what I was saying.
How do you infiltrate those people's lives in a way that they'll actually listen?
Yeah, I just had a separate company go through my Etsy store and just literally tore it apart. They were like, "You got to, you're not doing this. You're not doing this. You got to have this, and this is all wrong." And this is, I was like, "Ooh, okay. I thought I was doing pretty good, but I guess not."
Well, sounds like it was productive. I hope.
Oh yeah, because it's like I agreed with everything he says. You're right. I should have that in there. I should have this in there. And so now it's just a matter of going through every. And he, one great thing he told me was like, don't just make the changes to those items, delete them and put them in again, because Etsy's algorithm will refine it. A lot of my products have been on there for years, and there's no reason to update them. But because of that, they've kind of gotten dropped out of the search engine part of it.
And that's, in large part, it depends on the platforms you're using. Because if you talk about social media, now there is no gospel way of doing it. It depends on what, like Meta, just like how they woke up. And they're like, oh, it is going to be a great day to just deprioritize people who are,
it does feel like that sometimes.
It's almost the undertone to all of this. I'm wildly frustrated with most of it.
Yeah. I spent a whole year, I'm probably going back maybe 15 years ago, and went through all the Google training and did all this stuff to get Google certified, because I used to build websites. So I got all the certification done. And then just as I got done, I was on this news flash came. I was like, Google come out with a whole new algorithm for doing things. So basically everything I just learned was just garbage. I was like, wow, that's nice.
Well, a lot of people are feeling that these days too, with like where AI is, and they graduate and all of a sudden robots can do what I do.
Yeah, that stuff scares me. I love it. We have like 9 Alexa devices around here, and I love it, but I get nervous sometimes because I see some of these things that they're pushing into, and I don't think enough people have watched enough Terminator movies.
They called it way long ago, and
I'm going to wake up one of these mornings, my Alexa device is going to have legs and arms on it or something.
And just hope that she doesn't fall in love with you and fall.
Oh, jeez.
It's going to be. I'm not going to go down that path, but yeah.
So, how do you? I'm just looking through some of the stuff you have here on your site and your profile here. So, you got a thing on here. Like flipping. You got flipping the mirror and seeing your ideas objectively. Can you explain that to us?
Sure. I'm a staunch proponent, I'd say, of really the notion that like anarchy itself, this consideration of, okay, if everybody goes left and I go right, in other words, separate myself from the mass to stand out, hopefully for the right reasons, that sort of tactical application really can't be done until you're actually able to look at whatever the idea or the concept is that is in question objectively. Now, objectivity is key and crucial. You need to look at the good, the bad, the ugly, the nuances, and you need to have data to understand why we're making the moves that we are, why we did what we did. Okay, what worked 3 years ago? Why is this not working now? Do
Right.
the research, figure it out.
Well, that,
Data
yeah,
points.
that seems pretty logical. I have this fight. I have two other business partners in my other business, and it's just constant, arguing back and forth almost like, we should be doing this. And they're like, well, it's been working good so far. And it's like, well, yeah, okay. But look at the sales and stuff. I mean, it's obviously not working as good as it did, even 5 years ago. And they're just stuck at, well, it's working, so why change it? So, okay, well, if I thought like that 25 years ago when I first got into business, I probably wouldn't be in business right now.
Yeah.
That's why every once in a while I like to throw the wrench in there a little bit, because then it makes everybody go, what just happened? Then at least there's a discussion done about it. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah. And that's the idea is, discuss it, think through it. And, once you can see it objectively, then, and only then can you really think, how do we throw a wrench in this? So it will make sense, because if you're coloring outside of the lines, people will catch on. It's not going to stick, at least not the way that you want it to or envision it doing so.
Agreed. So I wanted I saw something on here. I think it was on your main site here. I just wanted to touch base on because I thought it was very interesting.
Sure.
Let me get down here.
Like, you can look, just don't touch. That's all.
Well, I'm not going to say anything. I am married, so I think it must be on the wrong page. I saw something on there that you do there's a charity that you're part of. Oh, there it is. Yeah. To the rain basketball.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because I saw that on the bottom there and I thought it was interesting.
Sure. There is. So I do need to clarify. I'm not actually part of them. I'm a staunch supporter of them, of their mission. Stephen Beseda, oh dear, I can't even remember. I think he was connected to me through a colleague some couple years back. And so essentially, rain basketball, so whenever anybody makes a transaction, essentially through Anarchy for a Day, a percentage of that transaction goes to that nonprofit. So essentially what they do, they have a couple different basketball camps they offer both here in Denver, and I believe they also have some camps out in California. And they are just doing tremendous work. Essentially, the camps are for individuals in the communities that cannot otherwise pay for those kinds of camps, those, the discipline that comes with, simply being in the team sport. Yeah. And so in a lot of ways, they're keeping kids off the streets, from going down a potentially bad path to instead, being with a group of people and learning discipline and, finding their craft. Because, one of the realities too is they have a tremendous percentage when it comes to college ball placement. Like, not only are they keeping kids off the street, but they're just damn good ballers.
Right.
And it's just, Stephen, he went down, his background is essentially one that, the types of individuals that he works with, I've been in your shoes. And he just brings perspective. He is the leader, the coach that they need in a lot of ways. And without question, it's an organization I'm delighted to support.
That's cool. That's nice. Yeah, I just wanted to mention it because I saw it there and I was like, that's pretty cool that you're donating part of it to that. I like that group. I just saw something else here too. I'm flipping through between your website, your Podmatch profile, and to watch our Podbean line to make sure that we're still online and everything's going good. So I've got 3 screens in front of me. So there's a little bit of anarchy right there.
Yeah, nice. Where are you guys based out of, by the way?
We are actually in Richfield Springs, New York. We are just outside of Cooperstown.
Okay.
So, and we've done this. This is, we started last April, and we're still kind of trying to find our little niche. We're just kind of, we like to talk about life and just general curiosities, but every once in a while, I would like to throw in some serious podcasts.
Yeah.
Well, what does this one count as?
We'll let you know when we're done.
Touche.
I would say this is one of our informative.
Yes.
You know?
I couldn't resist. I did see, I did read that, you like comedy. So
I appreciate a chuckle here and there.
So, Kyle, it seems like, you have really, you're a coach, you're doing all of the things that you're doing. But you really have a certain lifestyle, a presentation of yourself, right? That you're able to just kind of go in this forward direction with what you do.
So, rephrase your question.
Okay.
Because I want to make sure I'm on the right page with you. Because I think I hear something in there, but I want to make sure I'm there.
So we all really have a certain way about ourselves that really just kind of points us in a direction that we're going in. Like maybe the way you start your day off, or maybe the way you, like what makes you, I don't know if I want to use the word different, but maybe different than everybody else who's doing the same kind of thing. So for example, like if there was another coach out there that's a business coach, like what is making you different? What are some of your values, some of your, things that are making you different than somebody else?
All right. So there's two components that I'm hearing. One, how do I start my day? Because I think that's probably just as important as like what somebody values too. So there's both good and bad in the way that I start my day, and I will openly admit that. Up at 5, then immediate first things out of my brain. I don't really speak it, but it's the practice of gratitude, and if you want to call it, manifestation. So there's essentially two things that I say. Is one, thank you to my parents, all 4 of them. I was adopted at birth. Without the adoption, we would not be in conversation right now. It is arguably that simple. And the opportunities, the experiences, the different cultures that I was able to experience due to that adoption, that's what's informing the conversation we're having right now. And so very simply, I just thank them for making the decisions, difficult as they may have been, to move through the adoption as they did. The second piece is I'm ready to work. That's it. And then I hop on my phone. That's the component that's probably the nay. Don't do that. Check all the messages, notifications, like, all right, how weird is today going to be?
Right.
We'll find out soon.
So when you said when you first wake up, is that kind of like doing like your daily affirmations? Like,
sure. Yeah. I mean, that's a way of saying it. Like there's, there's manifestations. You can.
Yep.
Right.
I used to listen to, I do every once in a while, but it creeps my husband out when he hears her talking in the middle of the night. But there's this lady, Louise Hay, that I used to listen to, and she speaks about, you speak your universe, you speak and think your universe into play.
That's it. Speak it into fruition.
So, and she tells all these things like, look in the mirror and say, it's going to be a good day. You're a good person. And think, these positive thoughts, when you think positively, you draw positive thoughts to you.
Yeah. And it's I've seen a couple of videos as of late, so this is not an original thought by any means, but, instead of saying that when you walk up to somebody like, hey, how are you? Ask like, what's good today? That very simple shift.
Oh, I like that.
Opening intro question just gets them a lot of people are like, I've asked a couple of people that.
You probably stop and like, what?
Yeah.
In like a supermarket, and they're like, the immediate answer is like nothing. I'm like, I don't know if that was like your knee-jerk reflex, or if you actually listened to my question and like that's the genuine answer.
Yeah.
Either way, I don't have any follow-up questions.
Right.
So
All right,
it
we're
can
done.
backfire. And you hope that whoever you say that to is listening.
Right.
But okay, so that's how I start.
It's funny because my husband, a lot of times, he'll like hold the door open for somebody and they won't say anything. And he'll just say right out to him, like, well, you're welcome.
I like him already.
And then there's times where we've said things to people and they just like I'll say, oh, have a nice day. And they don't say anything back. And I'm just like, or not. Whatever, whatever works for you.
Y'all are out in New York, man. I'm just in cozy little Denver, Colorado here. We're a melting pot of, I don't know, wherever the hell white people come from. And that's it. No, there's a lot of culture here. It's just not in downtown Denver. It's kind of a weird place because of that. But okay, so then there was part 2 of the question. Was what do I value? This is just one of those it's the same. All right, I'll talk sort of again as it relates to adoption, because one of the things that I really value are very selfishly people who actually see me and appreciate me. So what this is kind of stemming from here, in my mind, at least the way that I've kind of broken things down, this is not me playing a victim card. This is just me acknowledging circumstance and science. And, this is to say, okay, there was a lunch that I had with a prenatal psychologist back in 2021. So take this however you want to. She says, if you're in the womb of a mother who is knowingly adopting, you can think about that like having a landlord that does not want you as their tenant. You need to disassociate. And the womb is where we all grow into the very first bit of the human that we're going to become. That's home 0, really. And to be rejected from that's what adoption is. Rejection. But on the other side of rejection is acceptance. You hope, at least, that it's a good enough circumstance that there is acceptance at the end of that tunnel. But because of that, there's just this individuals that reject me in some manner. I don't know how significant or severe, whatever. If there's a level of rejection, I don't go sprinting after them. I have no interest in fostering relationships with individuals who don't appreciate me. I'm not saying that I'm anything special or need, to be unequivocally I'm perfect, love me. No, it's just.
No, I get it.
It's, if I walk into a room and I don't feel like I belong, I do not wait. I don't try to make myself belong. I simply acknowledge that and move forward. If there's somebody in there that sees, maybe catches a whiff of something cool, then all right, we'll talk. But I don't know. For whatever reason, it's just something I really value are people that are able to see intrinsic value, specifically in me. Yeah. Okay, so that's it on a very selfish level. But I also
I think that's a selfish level.
Yeah, I think it's something because I think it's something like me and my husband have talked about many times. Well, why bother being friends with this person if it's just we get the negative part all the time.
That's it.
There's just not enough time in the day for negative stuff.
No, and so then okay, well, there's philanthropy. The parents that adopted me, Liz and John, they've been philanthropists throughout my entire life, and that just kind of rubbed off on me. Hence why Rain basketball comes into the equation as they do. So, the notion of service. Be a good worker. They fostered that work ethic very long ago. So, can I curse on this?
Yes.
Oh, fantastic. Holy cow.
You see how both of us jumped right on and said, yes. In fact, our first couple of episodes, my husband was like, you guys swear a lot. So we kind of narrowed it down a little bit.
So, all right. I'll give you this story, but this is probably it was in part, okay. So 13 years as a gymnast, gymnastics, great for discipline. And if you fail, figure out how to do it, work, build the muscle and then try again. But my mom was mayor of the town that I grew up in for a period of 8 years. And this is kind of back when I was in junior high. So there was a summer where she says, all right, well, you need to get a job. And I'm thinking, all right, well, I'll just get a job at Village Hall, like doing something menial, just like pushing papers or something like that. And she says, no, we're going to actually hand you off to the public works folks.
Oh.
And these are the individuals who actually make a town functional. They're the ones that, if you live, New York, Colorado, I'm originally from Chicago, like places with seasons, these are the that at 3 a.m. are plowing the streets.
Right.
When we're getting snowstorms, they're, keeping the public spaces clean, replacing trash. It's just, repaving the asphalt and stuff like that. It's the base functional stuff that towns need, that citizens do not give two shits about. So that's it. That was the job. Now, the specific task that I had within that job was, I was cleaning a parking garage, a train station. I was cleaning up essentially all of the trash cans around town and picking up any of the roadkill. That was the job. And all of the full-timers sort of had this, maybe not all of them, but, a lot of the people understood, like, all right, well, this is the son of the mayor. You can kind of give him a pass if he's a screw off or, I don't know, sucks just as a human. And, what my parents instilled back then is be a good worker. Don't fuck this up. That's it. It does not matter what privilege you feel like you have, because A, it doesn't even exist in the first place. And B, you just need to be a good human and you still have to go work.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that was the first point. Really, I think that some of that work ethic was kind of drilled into me. Yeah.
I think when it comes to just like any business,
Hey, Tanksters. So today I'm going to talk about, in our Tango Tech corner, about cloud storages. We've used OneDrive for a very long time, but we keep getting, some issues with that. We then switched to Google Drive, which I love. I think you get more for your money out of it because you get 2 terabytes. I think we're up to 5 terabytes of storage right now. But with all the computers that we're trying to keep in sync, just here for the studio, I've got 5 computers that we use, 2 up in the wood shop, 2 actually here in the studio, and 1 in the main office, just to keep them all in sync and access the files when we need to. And we're finding that a lot of these cloud storage services, not that I'm knocking any of them because they're all great for what people use them for, but we're finding that we're getting lost files and errors, and things aren't syncing up, and that's a big issue for us because I work out of our home studio on Tuesdays and Thursdays and on Saturdays, and then Monday, Wednesday, and Friday I work out of my main business, which is CNY Awards and Apparel in the New Hartford Shopping Center in New York. And these files, the reason why you sync them is because, they're very important to us. We have to be able to access whenever we need them. And I never know if I'm going to need a studio file or if I'm going to need an art file or a print file. So I need access to them all the time. And not only that, but on top of that, they're very resource intensive. They a lot of times when I see that my computer's slowing down, I look and you'll see one of these cloud services are just eating up like everything in your system just to sync these files up and down and backwards and stuff. So anyways, I've been fighting with it for a while. I actually bought like all these little 2 terabyte Crucial 10 USB drives to just update our storage, and it still wasn't keeping up with what we needed to do. So what I ended up doing today was, as my usual, rambling around on the internets in the morning, looking for better services and other things to keep things flowing here, I came across this company, and they have this service. It is called, let me pull it up here real quick, Cloud Mounter. And what it allows you to do is it actually maps your online cloud services as actual Windows drives. So there's no syncing going on. You just access it when you need to access it. Now, with that being said, of course, it's a little bit more delay accessing the files, but I don't have to worry about syncing because whatever change I make, it's actually made on that file. I will probably have to look into doing like a regular backup just in case something ever happens to the online storage. But for right now, we are testing this out, and I have it on 2 computers right now in the studio, and it seems to be working pretty good. I'm even using it to record and store our episode for tonight, and we'll see what happens. So, that's my tech for today, and we'll see how that plays out, whether I regret it or if I'm happy with it. But hey, thanks for listening, and definitely thanks for tuning in to Tango Talks, and we'll get back to the show.
That's it right there. Like you're just summing it up. It's work ethic.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't expect to be successful in anything you do if you're just like, yeah, well, it'll come, or I don't have to start at the bottom. I can go right to the top. Yeah. And it's good to have. I'm not saying it's not good to have goals. Because it absolutely is. But all of the things that you're saying right now is 100% true in my mind,
I agree too. She's looking at me like, you agree, right? I'm like, yeah, I agree.
Well,
does it really? Do you agree too? I was just kind of shaking my head like,
I appreciate that you guys agree. And this, I'm not, in it to find complete agreement here in conversation. It's just,
right.
This is.
But I think we have the same. I mean, I bought my first business when I was like 22, and, I've ran it pretty much ever since. So my youngest son, love him to death, but he graduated from college and just thought, he was going to walk into a kitchen and be like, "Hi, I'm so-and-so, and I just graduated from Johnson & Wales." And they're like, "Yeah, so did the pots and pans kid. That's where you're going to start." And, it bothered him. He just thought, that wasn't right. And I was like, dude, I mean, where do you think I started? You know what I mean?
Well, that's okay. So then let's think on like more of like a metaphorical level, because that was kind of like I got to this like, all right, my degree's in graphic design. I've had I've put in far more than my 10,000 hours of marketing. So I got to that point where I had the chip on the shoulder, which is to say, it's like I'm not going to lower my prices, because I know what I'm doing, because I give you great customer service, because I deliver work on time. And that was part of the disconnect, is this mentality of, well, if I'm so seasoned, then I need to essentially charge accordingly. The problem is, if people are backing away from marketing, no one was buying. Yep. And that was another point of acknowledgement that I had to simply look at on a very personal level. It's like, this is also not serving me at all. So there was a lot of coming to terms with like, all right, this is just a broken system. I don't know where, at the time I didn't know quite what everything looked like, but then, spinning out this coaching practice, I still take on marketing work, branding projects. I'm doing it like a manufacturing consultant right now. To coaching just the makers of the world.
Yeah. And a lot of times your career choices are slightly dictated by where you are located. And I only say that because like my son graduated from Johnson & Wales in Charlotte, down in North Carolina. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of those kids go into that area to go to college, but then they all don't leave. So now you've got a saturation of people who think they're chefs. And not that he's not. I mean, he's a very good cook. I don't want him to be like, Dad. But like up here where we are, we have several colleges that deal in graphic design. And when I I won't say how long ago. When I graduated, the college I went to was number 2 in the nation for their design course. But the problem is again, so many of these kids stayed here locally that not only did it drive down prices for like freelancers, but it drove down prices for people who own graphic businesses. Because you could take what you're doing here and look at somebody in New York City and be like, well, they're getting $1,200 for that. You're lucky if you're going to get 120 here.
Yeah. That's in part due to these different universities. And this isn't like an anti-university comment, but the university, like studying there essentially had me in like this like pompous ass of a state where I'm like hypercritical about like, that's not good design yet. The reality is what happens in college is not what's happening in the real freaking world.
Yeah.
And vice versa, because I didn't mean to cut you off there. Only because I know I do it to Angela all the time, and I always apologize because if I don't say what's in my head when I think it, it's gone. But I had a college professor who literally would take your design layout, and he had a clear grid, and he would lay it over the top and say it was an 18 by 24 design. If it was off by more than a 16th of an inch from one corner to the other corner, he would give you a D and go down from there.
Nice.
And I just stopped and I looked at him one time and go, I'm just going to say one thing. I'm putting myself through college right now by working at the Air Base at their photo tech and illustration department. I've got 6 letters from colonels, accommodating how well I did on their slides and stuff. I'm going to tell you right now, in the real world, that 16th of an inch is not going to be. It's a production world out there right now. It's got to be in and out the door.
Yeah.
And he just stood there and looked at me like, I was like, well, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
What? Sacrifice? No? People don't care? No. It's just like, okay, keep the curriculum as is, because you got to pile drive. Like, this is what good is. This is what excellence is. But then you need to be able to unlearn that and forget that immediately. And that's the component that does not get tacked into any curriculum. And I'm not just saying graphic design. Whatever the craft is that it's like taught, they teach it to the point of excellence. And if anything is below that, then it's a failure.
Right.
That's not how the world works.
No. And I think that so many things are in like, especially in when you're talking about like college and schooling, everything is like pass, fail, pass, fail, pass, fail, and you could be is so good out there. Like you may have done terrible in school, but you could be so good out there with something that has nothing to even do with the school you just had, Like it doesn't even matter. You're gonna do great, Well,
I have many friends who went on from college here and went on to Fredonia State for graphic and design. And they're doing the exact same thing I'm doing now with my sign shop. And they've told me many times, like, I could have saved myself so many years of aggravation, so much money by just doing what you did and just go out of college and buy a business.
Yeah. Well,
but sometimes you have to have the failures, though, to make, you know what I mean? Like
Yes.
You got to fail in order to recognize that you failed.
That's why I'm so good and confident.
That's
that
why
I fail on a daily basis.
Ditto me, man. That's it. I've only, like, if I talk about anything that I'm, good at, let alone teaching, you can bet your bottom dollar I have failed in some manner.
Yeah, because otherwise, it's like light and dark. You can't really have success without some failure along the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Appreciate the good because you got the bad.
Absolutely.
That's right.
So we've done all this fun stuff with the marketing, and I'm just reading through here, and I see here sober by choice.
Sure.
Because it's part of our little. I don't know if you really read our whole profile. Because we do this show, and usually we have a segment in there where it's the cocktail of the day.
Oh, well, I can give you what I was drinking 5 years ago.
What was that?
It was mostly Negronis and like whiskey.
Oh, I don't know. My son likes that Negroni.
Palate of a 60-year-old.
I enjoy a good scotch every once in a while. That's no big lie, but
that was my grandma's go-to. It was a Johnny Walker Red on the rocks. And as I, it got to an age where I was more comfortable serving her, what I learned is grandma needs more ice, and then water it down a little bit. It was one of her birthdays. We always went out for these lavish meals with her, and I just remember it was just ritual, the Johnny Walker Red, and same order across the board everywhere that we would go, and she was almost never pictured without it. And I'm not saying that she was a raging alcoholic. She was the CEO of Selster Manufacturing back in the 1970s. Like, this woman was a true mover and shaker. Like, I wish that she was still alive so that I could get to know her with the knowledge that I have now, as opposed to she's been gone a number of years. But essentially, the waiter finally brings the Johnny Walker over, and like her literal response was like, "Oh, goody gumballs."
I'm going to use that from now on. Every time you bring me a drink, I'm going to be like, "Oh, goody gumballs."
Feel free to quote her on that one.
Because I'm not gay enough,
Hey, man, no judgment there. Everybody, if that becomes your new call sign, then there you go.
So, again, I wasn't making light of the whole sober by choice, but you've been sober for 5 years then?
4.5 at this point.
4.5? That's awesome. Congratulations.
It's a public service.
I'm sure people around here would probably say the same thing if I were to try it.
Well, no further questions, Your Honor.
Okay. And why do you consider yourself an old soul?
Mostly just because I've been told I have one. I don't know. I do a lot of listening to what other people tell me, and then I'm like, oh, that kind of sounds right. I don't know. Weirdly enough, adoptees. I've talked to others, and they're like, yeah, I didn't really know much about myself. Took like a very long time to figure it out. Like, I know me now, but a lot of that is just the empirical research. Okay, what do people say? Maybe you have a good voice. Okay, well, get into radio. I didn't, but here we are now. Stuff like that. It's a trivial example, but man, you're great at drawing, or you're really funny. You should pipe up more. Those are all things that have led me down certain paths and, embrace certain curiosities in life. I don't remember the root question because I feel like I've been rambling now.
No, you're fine. No. I like picking out like the curiosity stuff in the introductions and the profiles and stuff. I was like, I do this all the time. I just forgot what I was going to say. Don't get old.
Two of us. Oh, I have an old soul, and I don't know. I don't know if there's a tremendous answer. I do. And maybe it's also like a dry delivery kind of dude.
Okay.
And maybe people just associate that with like, oh God.
You've got so many things going on, and I'm just reading through. I keep finding like all these new things on here, and you've got a ton of different.
I've known you for, based on the on-air thing, I've known you for about 50 minutes and 20 seconds. So no wonder you're finding new things.
No, because I just saw it on here, like the occasional auctioneer. I mean, who puts that in there? I don't think I've. Is it something you do like locally where you are, or is it
generally speaking local? I just auctioneering, like doing. Pitting the wealthy against the wealthy is one of my little just loves in life. And like, I have no skin in the game. My job is just to make you two hate each other, and I love that. And then your hatred gets to translate to, well, we're supporting a really a cool organization. So y'all just keep going, duke it out, and I'm just going to see how high we can get this number.
There you go.
I cannot. That is my little form of like anarchy in life.
So you can do the whole auctioneer voice, where they.
No.
Okay.
I can't. My brain can't like operate that quickly.
I don't know. I don't know. I've seen them do it, and I was just like, I don't.
But there's all different styles. You bring whatever. Like I was actually in New York, maybe whatever. We're in January. It's 2-3 months ago. I went to a gala. I was with my dad, and the auctioneer that they had for that specific gala, bar none, best auctioneer I had ever experienced. He was the most energetic, the most lively. Galas are so fucking boring. This guy made it unboring. What an incredible skill. It was just awesome. So I'm nowhere near like that. I'm not doing it with any level of like regularity because, for me to come in, that would mean I have just a very personal relationship with the organization. They say, all right, we need you to, come move some money for us. But no, it's just great. It's it's philanthropy meets, again, one of my little joys is pitting the rich against the rich.
I like that. I like pitting them against each other.
So it's not even like Peter Pan because I'm not touching any of the dough.
Yeah.
I'm just egging them on.
Just a curiosity question here, because when you showed up on Podmatch, you show up under one name, but then it was the Kyle Merrick that.
Yes.
Actually, is one? I think I read somewhere one's a stage name, and.
Yep, Merrick is a stage name. Asperger is my given. That's what I've had my entire life. And perhaps it's fairly obvious why I've chosen a different stage name.
Wow. I had to read it like 4 times. Like, I'm saying it right?
Yeah, no, you're nailing it. It's just like the syndrome. It's a German-Austrian name. And so like people, I was talking with my aunt a couple of days ago about like the stage name, and she's like, oh, well, when I met your dad, like when, my mom's sister. So like, when John initially came into the family, like he just said, hey, I'm John Asperger. And I didn't even think twice about it. And I'm like, well, because you're you. Like you're a salt of the earth human that doesn't have a twisted mind.
Sorry.
I'm surrounded by people with twisted minds. It's critical in life. But then there's people that will be like, oh my god, have you seen the South Park episode where Cartman makes Asperger? Yeah. And they'll present it as if it's like, this is the first time you've ever heard this, bud. So, okay, the worst it ever got, I was in junior high again. A lot happened in junior high, apparently.
Apparently, you weren't there for it.
This is story number 2 of that general period. We're on like a church work trip, and I think we were all staying in a high school in like the general area that we were like working. So it was a couple different churches all staying in the same area. And back then, because I was kind of coming out of my shell, like I was really super introverted. And so my friends would be like, hey, Asperger, like, just yelling it like down the hallway just to, get me going because they loved it. It was fun. I liked it too. Now, okay, that's all fine because technically in our minds, we're not hurting anybody. Now, in the mind of one specific individual at a different church who did have Asperger's, he didn't like that. He thought we were making fun of them. So essentially what this led to was like a church on church, like intervention. And they're like, hey, you guys are, you got to stop making fun of our guy. And they're like, we're not. It's just the dude's name. Sorry. I mean, we'll pull it back, but yeah, this is just a really unfortunate circumstance.
So it wasn't like a giveaway when you walked in and your jersey said Asperger's on the back?
Not plural. That is a very key note here.
Oh, burger. Okay.
But people have, like, some people have followed me just because they have Asperger's, and they're like, "Hey, one of us."
No, not really.
So sometimes, like, it may even still be on Podmatch where I'm like, "I don't have Asperger's. Please don't."
I saw that.
That's what we were reading. Yeah.
And no, he doesn't have Asperger's.
Yeah, well, darn, we can't have him on now. No, it's like people. It's just. It's not even the like Asperger. Like, fine, anybody's going to mispronounce it. I'm not going to correct anybody.
Yeah.
Unless they ask. It's Asperger. That's it.
Yep.
But like, Dr. Asperger, dude was a Nazi, so not great PR there.
Jeez, no.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well,
are you happy you asked?
Well, it's good that you have a sense of humor about it. I mean, I guess you kind of have to, right?
it's a good thing I get to edit the show before we post it.
Oh, good. Half of the show is just going to be like, boop, boop, boop.
We're pretty real on this show.
we don't really edit a whole lot out. I had the last one we did edit some out because we had we had here a little bit of equipment connecting errors and stuff like that, but it went through well. But listen, hey, I just want to say thank you so much for tonight. You are a very funny person, and obviously, this whole Anarchy for a Day. I've actually still got the site open. I think I'm going to share it with my coworkers, and it's been a pleasure.
It was a delight chatting with you both. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you,
Absolutely.
Kyle. It was really great to just like talk to somebody that wasn't just, constant business, the power of positive thinking. That's the only way kind of thing, that we've all heard 500,000 times.
Kill me, please.
But this was really fun.
Those people. My mom is like one of those like just really optimistic individuals, and I love it.
Uh-huh.
I admire it.
You know what? So do I, because I do have my days where I'm just not.
Yeah. No, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with the power of positive thinking, but so many times it's just drilled as it's always the power of positive thinking, the power of positive thinking.
Yeah,
but there's other things that go along with that. It's not just thinking it. You
gotta look at things objectively. And
yes.
Objectivity means, okay, well, we can be positive, but we have to look at the not so savory stuff too. And that's where I get caught up with those folks. I'm like, I love it. I have to balance myself out. I'm too hardcore of a realist, borderline like negative, but it's like, yeah. All right. Well,
no, I get it, because that's why I run everything through my husband all the time. It's like, is this a good thing to do? And he's like, sometimes he's like, well,
good litmus test. Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, thank you so much. We appreciate you being on the show, and it's been a delight.
Well, likewise, I appreciate it. And if there's anything I can do, beyond drop me a line. Let me know.
Absolutely. I'm going to pin you on Podmatch, so we can come back to you.
Oh, well, thank you.
Absolutely.
Would love to be back.
Oh, thanks. Most people are like, well, I did my 45 minutes. I'm done.
Well, hey, this is just, as long as I find real people that are like worth talking to, that's what makes this art form enjoyable for me.
Absolutely. Well, you have a good night. And again, we appreciate you.
Thank you, Kyle.
Thank you both.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Good night.